Everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chichi and I know it's been a while. You guys, I have a really exciting video to share with you guys today. I'm finally updating and uploading videos about my Nclex experience. Obviously, as a nurse, I would not wear this top or whatever, so just don't mind that. But yeah, so today I wanted to come to you guys and share with you guys my experience with Nclex and how I passed it. And yeah, so I'm going to share with you guys clips that I recorded from the day that I took the exam. And I apologize in advance if I am out of breath. I am currently about 37 weeks pregnant while I'm recording this video, and I'm still kind of out of breath a little bit. So I'm going to insert those there. Okay, you guys, so today is March 9th. I look really super tired. I'm here to take my Nclex. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm going to say, you guys, I just finished taking the exam. Honestly, I don't know how I did. The exam was hard. It was really, really hard. I went in there expecting to take all 265 questions because I just didn't want to have the expectation to pass at 75. I didn't want that extra pressure. My exam cut off, I think, at like 167. A couple times I came out doing great and I started crying. But I had to put myself together because I knew, like, if I just get wound up, I wasn't going to perform my best, like, at all. Like, nowhere close. It's done. I don't know how I did, so I'll get back to you guys. I just don't feel like talking. I just had to let people know, like, don't go in there thinking you're going to pass at 75 like everybody else. Like, everybody's different. Everybody's exam is different. Like, I just tried my best. I did. Honestly, I don't even know. So, we'll see. Okay, you guys. So, where do I begin? You guys saw that clip and you saw the reaction that I had after taking that exam. Let me just fix this a little bit. There we go. So you guys saw the reaction I had after taking that exam. Let me just tell you guys right now, if you are in nursing school, about to graduate, applying for Nclex, studying for Nclex, getting ready to take your Nclex tomorrow or the day after or after this video, I really pray and hope that this video is helpful to you. This video, I just want to make it short, quick, and give you some tips of how I passed. Now, I took my boards back in earlier this year, I think around like March or something like that. I went to an accelerated nursing program, so I just graduated in December of 2018. And if you guys are interested, I will put my nursing videos on the side here. You can click the eye up here or up here, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell and leave comments and stuff, because we're all here to help each other. Okay, the nursing family should not be exclusive, it should be inclusive. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys how I felt after I took the exam. I felt like complete crap. Let me just tell you what happened. I walk in, first of all, I'm pregnant, okay? I walked in there. It was like the worst conditions to take an exam, in my opinion, for a pregnant person, or just anybody in general, but I think more so a pregnant person. So I walked in, I was there early, I was really nervous. I didn't know what to do, what to say to anybody. I was just like, oh, the day has come. I was getting really, really nervous. I started praying. I prayed when I was walking to the elevator, as I was walking into my testing room. Girl, it was just like a hot mess. Okay, so me myself, I was a hot mess. I had to get myself prepared and out of that hot mess because I was going to take a really important exam. I go in, I check in. They allowed me to start in early because I got there like an hour early. I did all the checking information and stuff like that, the security stuff, and I started my exam. The minute I went in that place, I honestly regretted picking that place where I took my exam because number one, it was super hot in there. There was no ventilation in there. There was no windows in there. So it literally felt like I was a stuffed chicken. Like it was nothing. And the worst part was that you could bring water, but not into the testing center. It had to stay outside, like outside of the testing center. And if you wanted to get a drink of water, you had to go through the same security, blah, blah, blah. So I felt like extremely dehydrated when I was in there. I only took 2 pee breaks. So the exam comes, and for to protect the integrity of the exam, I'm just going to tell you what type of questions I got on it, not necessarily what was on it. So I did have select all that apply. I did have the drop thing, like where you put stuff in order. I did have that. I did have regular multiple choice questions. So pretty much all the type of questions that you get while you're in nursing school, you will have that on your exam. Um, Let me tell you, I started off taking the exam. I felt pretty good. You know, the questions were getting easy. They kind of getting hard, and it went back to easy again. They were getting kind of hard. So I couldn't really like gauge if I was doing well or not because like some of the questions I'm like, where did we learn that from? And or did I remember going over it? But yeah, so if you guys are interested, I will post what I used to study for the exam after I talk about how I took it. So I got to question 70, got to question 75, did not shut off. Got to question 80, did not shut off. Girl, by this point, I'm like, okay, either I don't know what's going on here or I'm starting to have a panic attack. As soon as 74 hit, my heart was racing. Like, it was racing so bad to the point where I literally felt like I can hear my heart in my ears and everybody around me can hear me. Mind you, I didn't want to look at nobody on my sides because it was blocked off, and I had this big headphones on to block off the sound. But I was like, okay, my break came up. I took my break. I started crying. I started crying while I was eating my bananas, asking God, why is the exam this hard? I prepared for this exam. Like, I had to prep talk myself because I'm just like, what is this? Go back in. I'm skipping. At this point, I'm like, all right, 80, 85, 90. Another point, I got to another point where it was time for another break, and I was like, nope, I am not getting back up. I am going to sit in here, and I'm going to pass this exam if I have to take all 265 questions. 90 passes, 95 passes, 100 passes. I'm like, oh my God, 110, 120, 140, 150, 160. I'm like, okay, either I'm doing something wrong or my exam is really hard or I'm failing. But I heard from other videos, I don't know if it's true or not, that if they keep giving you questions that you're okay. So I just kept putting that in my mind. I'm like, all right, as long as I keep getting questions and it's not like shutting me off. Boom, 164. At this point, I was really tired and there was no other scheduled breaks, nor did I want to get up. And I just wanted to keep my mind focused because I was already really nervous. 165, it shut off. When it shut off, I went through a survey, you know, that little 5-minute survey that you do at the end. And then it was asking me some questions about some upcoming Nclex. I did not care. I was just like, click, click, click. I just need to get out of there because I did not feel good. I came out, I was crying. And here's the clip. So it was rough. Like when I left, it was rough. My husband and my daughter, my husband actually dropped me off, and when he picked me back up, like I couldn't even speak. He was like, "How do you think you did?" I was like, "I just want to go home." He was like, "Babe, I'm sure you passed. Like I don't even know why you're worried about it." Da 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 da. And then all I can think about was like, oh, I cannot wait for 2 days to pass so I can do that little Pearson VUE trick. And I did it and it worked, but I wasn't sure because I wanted to make sure that I paid. I wasn't going to pay the money. At that point, I was like, you know what? I don't trust this Pearson VUE trick. So I paid the $7 or $8 to get my score. I got my score back and I passed, you guys. I freaking passed. I freaking passed. And I took that exam when I was pregnant and dehydrated, okay? If I can do it, you guys can do it, okay? There's like no excuse whatsoever. I was elated. Like the day we took the exam, my husband was so confident that I passed the exam, not myself, but he was. And we went out to our favorite Thai restaurant and we got food and all this different stuff. Even though I was there and I was enjoying in the moment, I'm not gonna lie, that exam was like up here. Like I don't even know did I pass or not. So I'm gonna tell you guys how I studied for the exam. So with my school, actually, after I graduated, I'm going to backtrack. After I graduated, I actually did not register to take the exam because I went to Europe for about like almost 2.5 weeks. Came back, the new year started. It took me a while to get back to the swing of things, a while to get back to like the time zones and stuff. And I just felt like I wasn't, like mentally, I wasn't ready to study. So, but before we graduated, we did do a Hearst review, which is this book here. It's the Nclex RN review. So this was actually incorporated into our tuition. I think it was like a 3 or 4 day class that we had after our classes were over, and it goes over everything: maternity, endocrine, respiratory, um, pediatrics, oncology, GI, how to pass, stuff like that, tips and tricks, yada yada yada. After we graduated, they gave us a software that we can use at that we had along with this. I didn't use it. Let me tell you the real deal. I used Uworld, and I'm so glad I did. Uworld not only prepared me, the questions prepared me well. I felt like I started studying, I think, around January. So I'm going to show you guys how I studied. So this is my notebook here, right? These are all of my notes that I use to study for my Nclex. As you can see, it's a lot of different colors, a lot of different post-it notes. So what I first did was, when I found out that I paid for it, I think I paid for the one where it gives you like 2,000 questions and you get like a free test, not like a test bank at the end, but like a exam to test whether you'll pass or fail. So this is pretty much my chart that I use to study, and I'm going to keep it up here so you guys can see. So that's the chart that I use. I went through all of the body systems, and as you can see on the right here, on this side here, you can see how many questions I did: 48, 12 plus 28, 21, 25, 30, 33, 45. So as I got closer to my date of my exam, I increased the questions. So I used to do 50, but I was moving too slow, and at that point I kind of figured I was not going to take it in February because it wasn't open. So I knew I was going to take it in March. So I increased the questions to 75. So I would say make sure that you have a study plan. So I went through every single system. So I did almost all the questions. I think the only thing I didn't touch on was like the critical care stuff, and there was like one last section, but I did almost all the questions in there. Also, a key thing for Uworld was studying the labs. Now this lab chart that I got, I actually found it online, and what I did was I just added the ones that I had from nursing school. Some of them I had to readjust because the ones that I learned in school were kind of different from the ones in Uworld, and I felt like since people were taking Uworld, it was just better for me to do the labs that they said was correct. So when you do labs or you print out other labs from other sources, just make sure it kind of follows the Uworld stuff. All right, so I'm going to share with you guys how I did it. So first system I did was cardiac. All right, so I just did cardiac, and you guys probably won't be able to see it because some of this stuff like bled through, and I've just been holding this book. All right, so the first thing is cardiac. So with cardiac, what I did was I went through all the questions. At first, I started with a tutoring. So what happens is you'll do the question, and then after the question, it will give you the correct answer. And I realized I was too slow, so I decided to change my method, and I did all 75 questions of cardiac, and then after I submit, then I went back. Key things I feel like you should do: number one is remediate questions that you don't know, remediate questions that you guessed, remediate stuff. Even if you think you knew the correct answer, but you still kind of wasn't sure, remediate it. So I did that for cardiovascular, and as you guys can see, I have the tabs here. So I went through cardiovascular, I went through hematology. These are things, I mean, this may seem like a lot. But for me, I felt like some things I knew, but some things I did not. So I just wrote it, and for me, it helps to write things down, especially if I can't remember it, or it just helps to stick in my brain. So I did skin. So I did infectious diseases, then I went to adult reproductive health, endocrine. So you guys pretty much get the idea. The one thing that I feel like with this, some people might say this was doing too much, but honey, I passed the Nclex and I'm a board registered nurse. Is Pretty much focusing on your weakness. For me, I was gonna do that, but I was like, if I paid $150 and I have 2,000 questions, I'm gonna go through everything. Okay, so that's what I did. A big thing I would tell you that was on my NCLEX was the delegation questions and the prioritization questions. I'm not gonna lie, those questions I struggled with in nursing school. So I took a whole, like, I did all of those questions. And I made sure I did those questions closer to the time I was taking my NCLEX. So here's the assignment and delegation questions that I have. I kind of wrote out a chart and did LPN. I did LPN, UAP, a regular registered nurse, the things that they can do, things that they can't do. And if I had any questions on Uworld that I felt like, oh my God, I didn't even know that they can do that. Like, the big thing I didn't know was that a UAP can empty a coloscopy bag that already has an established stoma. So I had no idea about that. So I constantly, that question kept coming up for me and I constantly kept getting it wrong. So I had to put it here to remind myself, like, that is something that a UAP can do. So a UAP is similar to a CNA. So yeah, I did those. And then another big section that I felt like I didn't really do well on Uworld, but I did well in my RN program was the maternity section. Now, let me tell you, the maternity section, woo, that was a lot. So it was newborn, postpartum, antepartum, and I think assessments. There was some drugs that you had to know, like obviously magnesium. You know, they usually give it to pregnant women to prevent seizures and stuff like that. So, like, knowing what medicine is commonly like given during that process, and what things to really look out for newborns and postpartum care, like the bleeding, the amount of bleeding, and you know if there's any smells, if you know it might be infectious and stuff like that. So I took the time to do that section last because I knew that was like my weak area. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I will tell you guys right now, I did use the Nclex RN book. I didn't use it a lot, but I did use it a lot in my undergrad. This book is like key. I know they have a new version, and this book actually came with a CD that you can use to study. Not a CD, what is it? A code that you can go online and they have extra questions that you can do that's not in the book. I'm not gonna lie, these questions in this book I felt like were way easier than the Uworld questions. But if it's something like you're studying and you want to just know if you get the information, do this book because why? It has everything listed out for you. So again, we're in endocrine. So as you guys can see, this is a patient that has Cushing's disease right here. And what it will do is it will tell you about the assessment, the interventions, drugs that you will use, what the disease is, what it comes from, what things you should look out for. So this book I really like because it makes everything pretty concise. And then at the end of the chapter, you usually have a short quiz. So this is what I'm talking about. So here you see insulin and stuff. So here you have the quizzes here at the end. If you're gonna try to do these questions over and over while you're in nursing school, I wouldn't suggest marking in the book, but just kind of going through the questions and then seeing the answers. And the answers with the rationales are always on the next pages, and they kind of explain the answer and the test taking strategies. So I did use this book a little bit just to help me out. And also I did have a planner that I used, and what I did was just kind of go through, like here I just have all my information, how I was going to study, how many questions, and I just try to keep myself on track because you know when you're out of school you get busy and it's so easy to lose track of time. So that was what I used. So if you guys are wondering, I did take the end of the Uworld practice question, not a question, but it was like a practice exam that would test to see if you will pass the NCLEX or not. So I took that exam and I got a 10% correct, and it marked me as very low to pass my NCLEX. Now the only thing I don't like about it is because that about that exam was that it was 75 questions, which Uworld pushes for that. Like, they want you to pass in 75. But I don't want people to go into that exam thinking that they're going to pass in 75, because you can also fail at 75, even if it shuts off. So I went in there with the mindset that I was going to take 265 questions. I didn't want that pressure of passing in 75, because regardless if you pass in 75 or 265, both of you are registered nurses. So when I got that score back, I'm not gonna lie, I started panicking, because I'm just like, okay, definitely took this exam 7 days before my Nclex, and it's saying that I have a low chance of passing. That's not good, but obviously I passed. So that was just based off of 75 questions. So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else I want to share with you guys. I do really believe that if you study hard, that you can pass this exam. Honestly, if I didn't have that Europe trip, I probably would have taken my exam earlier, in January sometime, but I needed to take a break. My school was crazy and chaotic, and I'm glad I took a break. So you know how they say, don't take a break, go ahead and take the NCLEX. If you need a break, take a break. Nobody is you, it's your life, and you always have to take care of yourself, like self-care. You guys know I'm all about self-care. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down below, and I hope that you found this video helpful. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and I'll talk to you in another video. Bye.